Hey everybody, it's Melanie, Exit Melanie, and I'm your Tuesday vlogger on Back to Basics WLS. How are yous? Rainy, freezing day here in New York, and not really cold out, just one of those days where you can't get warm. But anyway, this week's topic is weight loss surgery, to tell or not to tell. To tell people or not to tell people. Listen, I think there's some key things, very individualistic. I know many people who have told many people and been fine and great and loved the support. I know many people who've told no one. Fine, great, fine. Highly individualistic. What I will say is, when I started, so almost 2 years ago, I just by virtue of needing the time off, I told my boss and the other directors and a few other people, and if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have told them because they were very kind of ignorant about it. Does anybody watch the Housewives of New Jersey? Come on, if you like your reality TV like me. But, here's an interesting thing that happened. If you watched the reunion show last week, Teresa is mocking Caroline's daughter, who had the lap band surgery and lost 35, 40 pounds. The standard easy way out, cheating, easy way out. I do it the real way. I hate that bullshit mentality. I hate it. You know why? If you're obese, like me, like we all were when we started this, guess what? Our bodies are different. Our bodies are wired differently. Our hunger hormones hit differently. Sometimes it's about making bad food choices, etc. But we're wired. For a portion of that, we're wired. Some of it's learned, some of it's environmental, sure. But there are things inside of us that tick differently. And it's just one of those big last categories of prejudice that is not so often talked about. But people are very prejudiced, as we all know. So anyway, I know the thing about, especially if you're a new person, if you're just starting, you haven't had your surgery yet, this is what I think you need to consider before you tell people, okay? If you tell people, well, let me digress for a minute, okay? One of my favorite things about talking about this came from Casey Quinn about a year ago when, she had lost a little over 100 pounds at that point. And, everybody was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How'd you do it? This is great. This is great. And what she said, and I do agree, and you guys probably agree too, is when people ask you that don't know, they don't want to hear that, your calories are low, you're busting your ass at the gym, you're eating protein, you're making sure you drink. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear, in Casey's words, that you ran into a cave and you knocked two crystals together and poof, you're 100 pounds lighter. And it's true. Think about it. It's really true. Once people, they're like, oh, that's too much work. I mean, don't we all know that it's too much work? I mean, that's the whole irony to me. If you were to ask me what the greatest benefit of the lap band for me is, I think it suppresses hunger better than I've ever had it suppressed in my life, Hunger's not the same. Do I make poor choices? Of course, I'm in Stallville. Do I eat crap? Or do I eat more than I should, than my lap band tells me to? Yes. All Melanie's fault, not the lap band's fault. But it does suppress hunger in a way that I think is worth it in its own right. But anyway, so backwards to what I was saying. If you're new and you're going to tell people, I think what you have to do is be confident enough about your decision to either be confident when you choose to defend it, or be confident that you don't need to goddamn defend it. Okay? Because for me, I know initially when starting out, it gives you this, somebody says, oh, well, why didn't you just work out? Or why did you, oh, you did that. And it kind of sets you up into this childlike way of responding because they're talking to you from a parental level, and that's a whole transactional analysis thing we can talk about another time. But I'm saying, well, and you don't need to defend yourself. I think we need to educate people, but what you're going to feel like, especially if you're new, is that you're educating one person at a time, and it's this big mountain of people who are clueless. Eventually at my job, within about 6 months, they were kind of like, oh, we get it. That it wasn't easy, that it wasn't just snapping your fingers and, waking up from surgery and poof, you were skinny, or rubbing two crystals together. Now, these days, I don't tell many people now. I don't tell many people, and then I'm one of those people who I'll run into somebody I haven't seen in a long time, and I have this philosophy that I'm not going to tell people, for now anyway. That's my philosophy. It might change. We're allowed to change as we go. But anyway, and I'll run into somebody I haven't seen in a long time, and they'll be like, oh my God, you lost weight, you look great, what are you doing? I'll be like, oh, I know that band. I'm like, oh my God, it's coming out of my mouth. It's fucking coming out. It's like, you know, my brain is going, am I really saying that out loud? So it's not a shame thing, it's just a private thing. And it's not, you know, sometimes you don't feel like defending it. Sometimes you know people won't understand. Sometimes what one of my friends does that's not in this community, which I think is very smart, is she said, you know, to me this is like a medical procedure. It was medical for me. There was something, you know, wrong with me in a medical sense. Okay? So I had an operation to help me fix that medical portion. And I don't walk around tell my friends every pap smear I get and every mammogram, you know, I don't walk around telling them every time I go to the doctor. So if this is my private medical information, it's my private medical information, you know? Because the truth is, if somebody asks you how you lost weight, you tell them. I've reduced my calories, I go to the gym, I drink water, I try to focus on protein first, or I cut out fat, or I cut out sugar. Those things are true, you're not lying. So I can go either way. Again, I don't mean to make it sound like it's a bad thing to tell, because I think people have found great success and great freedom in just being out loud and proud about it, and gotten good support. But again, I'm just saying, know that not everyone in the world is not biased towards us chubbies. It's just the way the world is. So I'm just saying, just be strong enough in yourself and don't let it offend you when they say that you took the easy way, or you know, this, or we couldn't do it, or you know, my favorite is when people say, oh yeah, I lost 10 pounds the real way, the old-fashioned way, sweat. And I'm not even a fucking idiot, you know. But anyway, these people don't understand, and that's okay, because we all understand. But okay. Anyway, your choice, whatever you decide to do, and know that you can change it at any time. I suppose once you tell somebody, you can't take it back. But you can always choose to change if you're going to tell, or if you're not, or how much you're going to talk about it. You know why? It's your life, it's your body, it's your choice. Period. So have a great week. And listen, inbox this channel or leave a comment in the YouTube or in the Back to Basics or private message one of us, any topics that you're interested in hearing about. And we'd be happy to add them, okay? I hope you guys have a great week. Bye-bye.